So, a cargo ship believed to have been carrying Russian-made attack helicopters for Syria has turned back after having its insurance cover withdrawn. The ship, the MV Alaid, was lying 50 miles off Scotland's northern coast when its London-based insurers withdrew its cover. The Foreign Secretary William Hague told MPs that, in accordance with EU arms embargoes on Syria, he had raised the issue of such shipments with his Russian opposite number last week. Porrick O'Brien has this report.
Have the suits in this nondescript central London office achieved something the international community hasn't managed to? Applied some brakes on the Syrian government bombardment of its own people. Over a week ago, a giant cargo ship, the MV Alaid, left a Russian port bound for Syria. Its cargo a consignment of refurbished Russian-made attack helicopters called the Mi-25, or the Flying Tank. The cargo ship left the Russian port of Kaliningrad bound for the Syrian port of Tartus. At least that was the plan. Until, about 50 miles off the port of Ness, news came through that their insurers, the Standard Club, was pulling the insurance. There's an EU embargo on arms to Syria, but the Russians aren't in breach of that because they're not bound by it. Their UK-based insurer, though, is. We spoke to the company today. They sent us a statement. We were made aware of the allegations that the ship was carrying munitions destined for Syria, which would be a clear breach of our club rules. They're a mutual insurance association. They go on to say we informed the ship owner that their insurance cover ceased automatically in view of the nature of the voyage. Now, they were also at pains to point out that they hadn't made this decision because of pressure from the UK government. So to what extent is this about politics, and to what extent is this about the logistics of a ship travelling without insurance? Let's start with the logistics. It probably would have had to stop along the way in a port to refuel.
Yes, and if that had been the case, given the fact that Standard P&I Club had relinquished the P&I cover, it wouldn't have had the blue certificate, or the blue certificate that it had wouldn't be valid, and it would need to have handed that into a port to show that it had liability cover. At that case, it probably wouldn't have been allowed into the port.
So what would have happened? It would have just had to...
It would have been turned away.
Helicopters have been reportedly used in attacks against civilians in Syria. Even though the insurers are playing it down, this is, of course, all about politics. This was Hillary Clinton and her Russian counterpart last week.
We are concerned about the latest information we have that there are attack helicopters on the way from Russia to Syria, which will escalate the conflict quite dramatically.
We are not delivering, not to Syria, not anywhere else, anything that's being used to fight peaceful protesters.
Today, back at home, that she said, he said, became a much more tangible intervention.
And I'm pleased that the ship that was reported to be carrying arms to Syria has now turned back, apparently, towards Russia.
This development off the coast of Scotland is embarrassing for Russia and demonstrates a little international community muscle where their mouth is.